Welcome to the Winners Find a Way show and podcast with your host, Trent M. Clark, three-time World Series coach, CEO of Leadershipity, serial entrepreneur, having started 12 companies, coach to the 1%, and an international speaker. This show is going to be your go-to podcast for facing adversity, being inspired, and overcoming obstacles, all from the best in the world, business, sports, and leadership. Hate the crappy ingredients in many beverages and energy drinks? Rebellious Infusions are the go-to functional beverage. They have 5 or fewer plant-based organic ingredients, no sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system, and L-theanine for brain health. Rebellious Infusions are available at drinkrebellious.com. Rethink your drink. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999.
Hi, this is Trent Clark, host of Winners Find a Way show. I'm a CEO of Leadershipity, international speaker, serial entrepreneur, and longtime coach in professional baseball, where I coached over 12 years, coached 3 different organizations in the World Series with the Indians twice, and with my buddy Bobby Magallanes and the Los Angeles Angels. So pretty awesome. Bobby Magallanes, now coach of the Atlanta Braves. Welcome, buddy.
Yeah, man, Trent, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being here, bud.
Oh, man, I'm so happy because I've been looking forward to us doing this for months. So this is exciting. And the shirt, look at the shirt. Sit tall, Bobby. Show us the shirt, man. Mentally strong. Look at, you're all cut up too, dude. You're physically and mentally strong. Look at you. I love it. So for this show, folks, hey, have you ever faced stiff adversity? Have you ever been up against it and feeling like, hey, I got to find a better way. I got to get out of this. I'm in a bit of a funk. I'm going to get it better. You know, in baseball, Bobby, we know about slumps. We know about, overcoming. And this guy has had a great journey through adversity to get to always knowing exactly where he wanted to be. So if you're in that position today, you are in the right place. You're going to learn some great things about overcoming. If you are an entrepreneur, an athlete, a business leader, or you're just simply looking to get elite, I think this is the perfect podcast and place for you. So welcome to my good friend, Bobby Magallanes. So I think, Bobby, we'll be coached 6-7 years together with the Angels.
Yeah, man, great memories. That's where we met, and it was fun, man. That was a great run there with the Angels too.
Yeah, great run. We had a lot of fun. A lot of change, right? A lot of change and adaptability going on during that time. We saw changes in management, changes in executive leadership, just a lot of things that we survived kind of through it, and always fun. For you, we'll have some Q&A at the end, so we're going to hold questions to the end of our chat. But please, if you have anything, get it to us, and we'll also find out where you can find Bobby. So, Bobby, tell them where that you can find you online. Hey, if I want to talk to Bobby Magallanes, you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn, and also on Instagram at as Bobby. And also I have a hitting also account on Instagram called Swing Ugly, so you can reach me on both.
Swing Ugly. Yes, I love it. I heard that from a lot of coaches, actually. So I don't know if I love that.
Yeah. We can get into that later about what that means. Why Swing Ugly?
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm just telling kids right now, man, swing, just swing, man. Some good things happen when you do it, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about a few key highlights for all of you out there. If you do not know Bobby Magallanes, and you're going to want to, this guy, 32 years of professional baseball, 13 as a player, 19 as a coach. Man, this is in your blood. You were drafted twice, high school with the Expos, and then out of Cerritos Junior College by the Mariners, which is when you signed, right? You signed with the Mariners for the second shot. Played for Team USA in 1989 for you kids out there. That's 19 in front. Part of 6 championships, 12 as a player in pro ball. So hitting coach 4 years in rookie ball, manager, Texas League champion as a manager. That's AA ball for those who don't know. White Sox, a bench coach, AAA of the Indians, now home of the Toronto Blue Jays. AAA hitting coach of the Braves, Scottsdale Scorpions Fall League. You've been through a lot of different leagues, probably everything from developing the premier athlete at the major league level. Now you coach the premier athlete at that elite level, saying, hey, now the challenge is not to get here, it's to stay here. And we know how hard that is, right? You've also improved your own development by developing scouting skills and going into the scouting world of what are scouts looking for. As a coach, learn, hey, this is what we're looking for out front. This is what we want to develop those folks into. So I love that. What most people don't know about you, Bobby, because, you were drafted out of junior college, is you've got your bachelor's degree in management at the young age of 45 years old and a master's degree at 50 in performance psychology, which we're going to talk a lot about today. How about that?
Yeah, it definitely kind of later in my life is when I kind of had the fruits of all the hard work and perseverance. But yeah, I mean, I got my education later in life.
Yeah, I think it's always been hard work and perseverance with you. But I'll tell you one thing I love about you, and I've always loved this, and a man that's always joyful. Like, we have had plenty of trials together, you and I. Like, there's been players and management wants something different from us, and we have to pivot, and there could be a lot of reasons to get down. But you have smiled through this journey better than probably anybody I've known along the way. So I really honor that about you, man.
Thanks, Trent. Yeah, it's definitely nothing's easy, but again, it's just battling through everything. And like you said, persevere, and in time, you'll reap those rewards.
So I caught you on the road today. Where are you at in the world?
We're in Philadelphia right now.
In Philly, gonna play the mighty Phillies tonight, and
Yes,
7:30 Wago.
7:05.
7:05 Wago. So now, why don't you quickly explain to them, Bobby? Like, people think like this is for people who don't know. I want them to understand this. People think like, oh, hey, you're a pro athlete. You show up at 6 like we do at the Little League, and we take a couple balls in the cage, and then we go hot at 7:05, right? Like, is that how pro ball is? Is that how it works?
No, we're there pretty early. Actually, we're there really early, especially as a coach. We're there to get the scouting report on the opposing pitcher, opposing team, get the players ready. I mean, they're there early in the cage to get their routines going in the cage and work on their hitting. And then we actually have batting practice before the game. And then we play the game. So we're there about 5 hours, 6 hours before game time.
Well, and then of course the post, right? And then there's all the post work to do, the reporting, the breakdown, the one-on-one discussions. So what I always thought, my days started in pro ball, and at noon I got to the ballpark for the 7:05 game, and I typically left at midnight after the last guy was done working out. I mean, there's a lot of workout, right? So that was standard operating procedure for me. It's a 12-hour day on the road, and sometimes that can very easily be 18 for me when a lot of people go, hey, you know what I like to do, coach? I like to go to the local gym at 7. I'm a starting pitcher and I didn't even play yesterday. So, hey, I'm thinking, why don't you and I go down to the local, name your gym, right? And name your local fitness establishment, right? LA Fitness, whatever. And we're there at 8 a.m. and I'm usually there with 2 hours with a number of athletes, come back, maybe get my workout in, and then I'm at the ballpark by noon. So standard days. Pro ball is not exactly like show and go, right? Like we do with the kids. It is a lot of work.
Right. Yeah, you nailed it. It is.
So, Bobby, tell us a little bit why I asked you to do the show. Hey, this is Winners Find a Way, Bobby. You've always found a way. We want to hear from you. Winners find a way. Why do you come on and do something like this? Why do you come on and talk about things?
Well, first of all, I like to encourage people. I like to teach. I like to coach. I like to inspire. And I like for people to get better. I mean, that's just my passion right now. And I want them to hear my story as well. We get inspired by people's stories. We get inspired by other people and their testimonies. And because it's truthful, it's like, man, this guy did, I can do it too. So, I want to just encourage people out there to just keep at it, what they want to do and go forward.
Is this shirt a Bobby Magallanes original, or where can I pick one up, bro? Because I want one, man. Like, I want one. And I maybe want the Bobby Magallanes logo around it too.
Yeah, actually, we give a testimony on that. This T-shirt's from a guy that Freddie Sandoval, who he's another guy, that ex-player of mine, that I managed in the minor leagues in A-ball and in Double-A. And after he retired, he became a mental skills coach, and he does that full time. And this is his logo. And so he sent me a T-shirt, and I wear it. He inspired this. Talk about people. How about this? How about the student inspiring the teacher to get his degree and everything? And he inspired me to go on to get my degree. This is a guy that I coach. So, I mean, you never know. We learn from everybody. And again, that's another inspiration, someone who influenced me, a guy that I taught and I coach, inspires me now to move on.
Yeah, I coached Freddie as well, obviously, right? He was with us with the Angels, and great young man. He's also a testament of what we always have that in a great teammate, right? We always talk about the card, coachability, adaptability, responsibility. He takes it on, and then dependability. He does it time and time again. I think Freddie went up to high A ball, double A ball. The skill set kind of topped out for Freddie, but he did everything we ever asked as coaches. We loved to have athletes. We love to have team members like that. And it's often the kind of players that you and I end up saying, oh, Freddie Sandoval, I'll take 10 more just like him. Well, coach, he's not the biggest. He's not the best. Well, hey, listen, all he does for me is show up and work hard. And when I ask him to do something, he gets it done, right?
Right. Yeah. Again, and look what he's doing. And, he's also, he's a really good mental skills coach. So that's another guy that people can go to.
Nice. All right. Well, Bobby, thrilled that you're here today, man. Let's jump into it with, tell us the most impactful pivot point you had as a kid. Like you got a brother, your brother played pro ball too, coached. He also Wander still coaches, right?
Yeah. They play in the big leagues too.
Yep. So you guys are a family of baseball. Like, was there an impactful moment? Like you said, hey, this is what I want to do. We're on our path to set and do this, and we can do it no matter the obstacle.
Well, I'll tell you where it kind of was for me. It was in elementary school. And there was a time, I was, like you said, I was born in a baseball family. So I had the genes in me, had the passion in me. I loved baseball since I was a little kid. But, I always saw the big league guys, playing. And I said, man, I want to do that someday when I was a little kid. I want to be a major league player someday. I just had that passion. That's what I want to do for a living. So, but I think what really, inspired me and I'm going to do it. And I was stubborn with it. Well, I was in elementary school. And I don't know if you guys remember when you're in elementary school, there's a day where the teacher says, okay, today we're going to talk about what you want to be in life, what you want to do in life when you get older. So so teacher went around the room and says, okay, Billy, what do you want to do? I want to be a police officer. Okay, why? Because I want to protect people. I want to help the community. Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, Maria, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to be a nurse. Why? Because I want to take care of people. Oh, okay, so everyone. Good. So after a couple kids, they get to me, Bobby, what do you want to do? I'm going to be a professional baseball player. And she goes, and she kind of chuckled, and she goes, Bobby, that's not a job. That's a sport. I go, no, I'm going to be a professional baseball player. And she chuckled and laughed. And then the kids started kind of laughing too, because I kept saying that. And I remember that she goes, Bobby, no, that's, someday you're going to have to have a job and do something. And that's just a sport. That's not. And oh my gosh, I remember me getting upset because she chuckled, laughed. And it's like, you can't do that. And I went, what? And so, as you can tell, the way I'm talking about it, that was like a moment with me, like, you know what, I'm going to show you. Yes. And I remember telling her, the teacher, well, let me tell you something. I said, I forgot what name I used. I grew up a Dodger fan in LA. So I think I said Steve Garvey or whatever. I said, look, he's making $1 million, which is $1 million more than what you're making. So, I'm like, I told her that. And so that inspired. So I remember that after that, I go, you know what? I'm going to prove that we can make a living out of this. And, whatever, 40 years later, I'm still in it.
Isn't that awesome, man? Like it's that driver that sets in our heart, right? Like, listen, this is what I want to do. And I have a very similar story to people telling me no. And, it was a big chip that kind of got on my shoulder and was like, I'll show you, and I don't know if it was always positive, right? It was definitely a driver. There was some negative side of it too. Not that I ever went back and went, hey, everybody, I don't know if you know or not. It all worked out for me, I don't think I've ever done that for sure. But man, I know that at that time, I just remember just being angry that someone would tell me no. And
right.
My breakout was when I was with a fellow former major leaguer, and he told me I had what it takes, and that was so valuable for me, man. That changed things for me. And I said to him, hey man, with all due respect, like everybody's telling me I'm not fast enough, not big enough, not strong enough, and all I'm hearing is I'm not enough. And he said, his most valuable advice to me at that time, when I was a young man, like 15 years old, said, hey Trent, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. Like, any of those other people play in the major leagues? And I was like, no. And he's like, I really caution you where you take your advice from. And man, I have lived by that in business, in relationships, in sport, everything. Like, I want to know about hitting. I'm getting Bobby on the phone. Like, I want to know, like, what this guy who's like, hey, I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. Like, come on. I want to go to the source, and I want people that know, right?
You're right.
So I love the quote by Chris McChesney and Sean Covey. Winners, when shown data that they are losing, find a way to win. Let's talk a bit about your background. I mean, that allowed you to overcome, become one of those 1%ers in sports and life. Like, it is not easy. And that's a number that we probably heard as kids, like, you know what the odds are of you being in the major leagues and all those things. It's rare air. All got it. What was one of the times you were up against it, losing down but not out, and you found a way to come back and win?
Well, I can just share my life. I mean, number one is when you have a goal and you have passion and you believe in yourself and you believe that, I can do this if I just get the chance. There's stubbornness. Again, I like to research things and researching, very successful people, not only in sports, but it can be in business, it can be in anything.
Yeah.
They're stubborn in a good way, not a bad way. They're stubborn, which means that they will not take no as an answer. It's like, I'm going to fight, and they will fall. They will, run up against a brick wall. They will hurt themselves and everything, but they do it because they know that if I climb this wall, once I get over this, I can be that person, or I can achieve my goal.
Yeah.
And with me, it was just that. It was like, I wanted to prove myself. I can do this if someone just gives me the opportunity. And so there wasn't really like a pivotal moment. There were so many moments, so many scars, so many tears, so many, shedding of blood. It was like moments where, I can tell, what I went through. I got released 4 times.
Yeah.
3 surgeries. I've been to 3 surgeries.
People don't understand that, right? Released is being fired. Okay, that's
fired.
What happens there. Like, they're saying, like, we're releasing you, and so if I could jump in for a second.
Go ahead.
It's a gigantic testimony to you, because when most people are released, they do not sign another professional baseball contract. They often go to the independent leagues. They may have other options and other things, but other teams will not pick them up unless they have a testament to their character, their perseverance, their willingness to continue to grind, and a testimonial from those they're coming from that says this guy will make people better around him.
And so again, I would get jobs and I would get released and it was like, gosh, and just one after another, like, well, what's going on? Why is this happening? And then multiple injuries. 3 surgeries. The last one I had was reconstruction of my shoulder, and I rehabbed for 18 months. And during that 18-month rehab, I wanted to quit many times because it was so painful. And I go, really, is it worth it? And as a matter of fact, I wanted to come back. I wanted to go back to school, and go on and move on with my life. But, I kept grinding, going through it and say, you know what? I still have hope. Like, there's still a strand. There's still a little thing I can hold on to that I can still realize my dream. And so I would wear it. I would just go through all the pain and emotionally and physically. So anyway, I was released 4 times and injuries and surgeries and rehabs and all that. And something, I didn't play in the major leagues after 12 years. It was all minor leagues. And I go into coaching, same thing. You persevere. And something, after 31 years of being in the minor leagues, I finally made it to the big leagues. And it took 31 years. This is my 32nd year pro ball. I was with our team last year, and this is my first time officially as a major league coach. And, it took 32 years. And it's funny because there was a person saying, man, you're moving quickly, man, this and that. And I go, yeah, it took 32 years to be an overnight success.
Exactly.
It's like the people had no idea, like, man, you're young, you're moving quickly. I go, you have no idea what I've gone through and how to get here. And that's my story. It's like, it's perseverance, really. And so is it one pivotal moment? Not at all. It was so many. I mean, you got to stumble, fall, get up, it's, when you mention what's a, a quote and something, that kind of gets you over the hump. With me, it's a quote by, I forgot who it was, really. I don't know who it is. It says, it's only a lump of coal. A lump of coal is the ugliest rock. It's an ugly rock, a coal. But that lump of coal, it's only through consistent pressure and heat that lump of coal becomes a diamond.
Yeah.
And diamond is the most precious rock. So it's like, I went through that like no one's business to finally, bam, here we are, which I praise God about. But it's not easy, and it goes through a lot, but that's what shapes us. That's what forms us. That's what prepares us to get to that moment.
Yes. I love it. And I tell you, man, I think let's talk about one thing in that you mentioned that I think is really important, which is once you did a surgery and rehabbed and came back, it's a huge trial. But once you've done it once, there's confidence in the fact that, hey, I've done it before. I can do this again. I know how to do it. Talk to us about that.
Well, again, it hurt. I mean, the first surgery I had was a shoulder surgery, and you don't know what to expect because I never had surgery, and I didn't really fully recover. I had ankle surgery as well. I recovered from that, and then the last surgery was the 18-month rehab surgery where they reconstructed my shoulder, and it's pain. And not only is there pain physically, but emotionally, it's like, am I ever going to play again? My dreams are shot because I was young at the time. I'm 20, I believe I was 23 years old when I had that surgery, 23, 24. So I'm still young. And so, I mean, all those things come to mind. And again, it's after you get done with that, you're like, wow, I'm glad I did it. But during that time, you're just like, no,
this is awful.
I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit. I really wanted to quit. There was times when it's not worth it. It was so painful physically, but it was painful emotionally, mentally. It really, I mean, you're like, gosh, when you felt, okay, it's finally there, and all of a sudden setbacks. And I had so many of those during the rehab.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you know what? It's just not worth it. And actually, the doctor told me that the chances of me coming back to playing were very slim because it was a new surgery that he had performed on athletes. But yeah, it's during those times, it's only during those times that at the end of the tunnel, after it's all said and done, that is what forms you. It's like, I mean, Trent, you about training. I mean,
yes.
you were one of the best that there is in terms of sports training. And I mean, like for a muscle to grow, it's got to tear down.
That's
and
right.
then rebuild. And then it keeps you tearing and rebuilding. Well, that's how we are as people. It's like we got to kind of be torn down a little bit to keep growing and get better. And that's how our faith grows. And that's how we grow as people.
Yes. So let's talk about that superpower that separates you from the rest of the 1%. What is it that so many people, I mean, won't face that hardship? They will not face that discomfort, and the physical anguish, and I think you've really touched this really well, the physical anguish of a rehabilitation, because I had my shoulder redone too, right? And that's something. But we've all dealt with physical pain for a long time as athletes, so that wasn't so uncommon. It wasn't new. The mental is really painful, especially for us who are I was edgy like you, man. I mean, I was always looking, what I look like. I don't look like the major leaguers, right? So I was like, man, I got to do every single thing and I can't miss one single opportunity. And when you're hurt, everyone's getting opportunity. You have no ability to progress when you are on the injured reserve or disabled list in any league and at any level. Like everyone else is getting reps. They're getting the chances to get better. There's opportunity that's coming. And there's all sorts of stories about the player who was like, oh yeah, this one guy got hurt. And then the other guy went in and the rest is history, right? Like he's been the starter for 15 years, and it's like, oh, that was my position. But at the time I rolled my ankle and I was out, or, like all these stories. What do you think that superpower is for you that was able to separate you?
My passion, number one, for the sport, but also my stubbornness.
Yes.
It was like, oh no, you should quit. You should. And I was stubborn about this. And no, Bobby, look, like, man, it's really not working out right now. You should try something. And I was like, no, like I'm going to do this. I'm going to persevere. And the perseverance is just, the perseverance is something that I think God put in me, that he put that spirit in me. Is like, to persevere, because I went through a lot in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And it's a stubbornness. You know what? It's my pride. It's like, you know what? I'm going to do this and I'm going to find a way. And the only way that it's not going to work is that, they just take it away from me, because I'm going to, as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to keep working hard. I'm going to try to realize what I want to do. And so I think the separate for me, the 1% you talk about, is that stubbornness. It's that, what? No, it doesn't matter. You can throw whatever you want at me. And I'm at that moment, it's going to hurt. It's going to taste sour. Those moments are bad. But you know what? I'm going to go through that because I know I'm going to be better in the long run. And when I get there, that's when you're going to taste the fruit of it.
Yeah, I think we have some great examples out there in the market. And for all you parents, I want to just say right here, if you have a strong-willed child and they're giving you grief, you may have a Bobby Magallanes or a Trent Clark or a, head of Apple or an MMA champion, because there are examples of these strong-willed children. And you could call, I like it, stubborn. The PC is he's just strong-willed. Right? He's a little stubborn, little punk is what he is, right? No. He is strong-willed. And I tell you that when you talk about the founders of this country, you talk about your entrepreneurs now who create new products, new way to do something better. They've been told no. They've been told it's not going to work. And yet that strong will is like, I'm going to find a way to make it work. Right. And we're back to the incandescent light bulb. Well, I figured out, 2,412 ways not to do it. I'm finding the one, right? I'm going to find the one that I know how to do it. And I'm going to keep running the tests. Right. And so there is a value in this. And I can tell you from having one of these kids, it is not easy, parents. It is not easy, but these kids are going to set the world ablaze. You may just have yourself a Bobby Magallanes on your hands. And when I talk about with these folks that I know, right, in my world, who now run $100+ million companies, and they're like, well, I was arrested twice. And, I was like, holy crap, man, what were you doing? He's like, I was just testing limits all the time. And I didn't know right from wrong yet. I was testing it. I was working in gray areas. I had to learn, man, integrity matters. And how do I direct this strong will to the right way? You've directed that strong willingness in your faith. Let's talk a little bit about that, because, man, to me, that's another big superpower of yours, because no matter whatever happened for you, Bobby, like good or bad, man, you were right back there to your foundation, and that would never waver.
Need to hydrate but tired of plain old water? You need Rebellious Infusions. No sugar, no calories, loaded with antioxidants to boost your immune system. And L-theanine for brain health. 10 organic flavors and convenient liquid packets. Just add 16 ounces and you are on your way. Rethink your drink at drinkrebellious.com. For 10% off of your next purchase, use the code 99999. Do you want to be our next guest? Or do you have inspiring stories to share? Or do you love to inspire, support, and empower thought leaders? Feel free to send Trent a direct message on Instagram or Facebook at Leadershipity.